Hi, guys, and welcome to Reality with Tea. Today I'm drinking my chamomile tea sweetened with honey and lemon. But I'm so excited about this episode because there was a lot going on, so let's get started. Okay, so first we start out. I think the one of the most interesting this week was Andrei and Libby. So let me start out with them. Okay. So Libby looks like she had a tough night because this is the night after Andre blew up on her family, her brother Charlie, and the dad Chuck. And I feel like isn't that a movie's name? The Adventures of Charlie and Chuck or something like that. Either way, they were about to fight Andre in front of his friends. It was a whole big mess. So Libby looks like she has been through it, like she got no sleep. And I don't know if they were arguing all night, whatever happened, right? So then they're talking, they're taking a walk, and she's saying she wants him to apologize, and he did apologize to her, and he did say that he was drunk. He said he crossed the line. He said I did too much, right? But he also said that they were making jokes at him. You know what I mean? And I said that before. They've been poking the bear this entire trip, right? And he said that he was offended, and I would have been offended too because you're inviting them, her family members, to hang out with his friends and everything, and you start questioning him and putting him on the spot. And some people can't. I mean, most people don't like it, but some people cannot deal with being put on the spot like that. You're making jokes, you're laughing at me. It's kind of like they feel like they make being made a fool out of, and they're embarrassed. And Andre is very prideful, so I can see how that made him very uncomfortable and aggressive. So, I mean, I'm not excusing the aggression, but I can see how he felt. So, he said, she said to him, "We don't even curse in front of your parents. Like, why are you treating my family like this? They didn't come from the U.S. for this type of thing." He says Charlie and them were provoking him, which they were. He said, "I need to apologize, but Charlie also needs to apologize." But he felt that Libby should initiate the apology because he felt that if he went over there, he didn't know, he wasn't able to feel out Charlie's temperature because they left on such a bad note. So he didn't want to make it worse. So he wanted her to kind of be the mediator and say, "Listen, Andre wants to come apologize." So then they shoot over to the dad and the brother. And the dad and the brother are staying in an Airbnb that's really nice, and they're so impressed. But the first thing you see the dad saying to the cameras is, "Yeah, Andre took us to the projects to meet his parents." And I just thought that was it was ignorant. And it was just very distasteful because his parents were so nice to them and cooked a beautiful meal, and they were so impressed by the hospitality. And now you're just going to go outside and say I mean, maybe they're living, they're living in meager, accommodations. But who are you to say that's the project? So this and that. And so what if it was the project? So what are you trying to say? Some people from the projects, hint, hint. Come on. I just didn't. I'm really starting to really not like her dad, Chuck. I mean, he was already a pushover, but now he just seems like a jerk. And the brother is like Beavis and Butthead, but I'll get to him in a minute. So they feel that Andre feels emboldened now that he's in Moldova, and I agree. He probably does. He's on his home turf. You know what I mean? He's feeling like it's one thing to feel like you're a fish out of water because you're in a new country. You have nobody on your side. This is all her family always against you. But now he feels like, okay, now I'm around my people. So I can see how that could be. And I've said that before. The brother, then Libby goes over to speak to them, and she talks about, Andre wants to apologize, but I'm just here to kind of clear the air before he comes, and the father, this is when he starts talking about, because he's in Moldova, he's acting like this. I've never seen him act this way before. Does he act like this when you question him? And the brother is saying, we've made sacrifices to come over here. I left my 4 kids. Now, he needs to chill out because you didn't leave your 4 kids for 4 months. You left your 4 kids for like a week to go to your sister's wedding. It happens. Did you leave the 4 kids with the wife and a nanny? Like, what are you saying? You didn't. I mean, maybe it was a financial sacrifice. Okay, you took a week off of work, but you act like this is a whole big deal, and as if they owe you something for coming to the wedding. You didn't have to come. The same way Libby's other 2 sisters couldn't come because they have little kids, so he didn't have to come. So I'm over him and his attitude of, you guys owe me this because I made this huge sacrifice. You could have stayed at home if you were going to come over here like that, especially the way that they've been crapping on Moldova since they landed off the plane. So, Libby tells him it takes 2 to tango. You were cussing at him. You guys were cussing back and forth. And the brother said, "Yeah, but I didn't tell him to shut up," and all this kind of stuff. So whatever. They think it's all Andre's fault. But Libby did say to the cameras, Andre has been on edge since we have been in Moldova. Something is going on with him. Something's making him feel uncomfortable because he has been on edge, and he has been kind of a mess since we got here. So she does recognize that, but we don't know what it is that's causing that problem. So then dad gets to the point where he says, if this is the attitude he's going to have, that's going to be a big problem moving forward. If I don't get an apology and he takes full responsibility, there will be no wedding. I will take my checkbook. I will take your brother. We'll pack up and go back to Florida. So now, Libby has to tell him, basically, I'm sure she went home like, listen, we did all this stuff there, but there's going to be no wedding. My father will not pay for it unless you're going to apologize. So then, of course, Andrei has to come and apologize. And he comes with humility, and he's laying it all on the line, probably because I'm sure that if their wedding wasn't on the line, he would not have done so, because he's so prideful and, he's so macho manish. But he came and he apologized. I take responsibility. But he did try to get in there that, this, I felt, you guys had a hand in it, but they didn't want to hear that, right? But he said basically that he is apologizing because he wants Libby to be happy. And the father said, I think you're doing this so I can pay for the wedding. And that is why he's doing it. But it's also, he just kept saying, she wants you guys there. I don't want to have a wedding without her family there. So I'm apologizing. Charlie is sitting there acting like he's security. Yeah. Whenever the dad says something, yeah. That's why I call him Beavis and Butthead, because to me, it's like, you need to chill out. You're not security. Like, you have nothing to add to the situation. Just be quiet. And the father talks about him as if he's a dog off a leash, because he's not going to be able to calm himself down if you don't do this. And if you talk to him like this, he shouldn't have to calm himself down. Like, whatever. He's a grown man. You guys should be able to handle this in a way that doesn't get aggressive. But I've never seen Andrei so humble. I understand he had to kiss butt for whatever reason, but it was good to see maybe that he could at least put on a show and pretend to be a normal human being. So we'll see how this goes. We'll see what happens when the sister and the mother and all these folks come, and then we'll see if there is a wedding. All right. Let's see. Larissa. Okay. She's quick. I don't spend too much time on her. So she still questioning Eric why he spoke bad about her. She really wants to know what was said and the whole thing. He says, listen, he's broken up about it, but he did, he was talking about how he spoke about her in that way to a new girlfriend, because it was like some way in order to make the new person feel like, to make them be better than his ex, type of a thing. But he was just gossiping. He says that she should feel glad that she doesn't have a lot of experience. I believe, did he say that or she said that? Or no, she said that you should be glad that I don't have a lot of experience. In other words, like, you should be glad that I'm not just giving it up freely all over the place. That should be a good thing. I don't understand why you're talking badly about that. But Eric says that all those women meant nothing. But he also says, you shouldn't have gone looking for trouble. He keeps putting it back on her. You shouldn't have gone in my phone. You shouldn't have gone in my phone. They both apologize to each other. She forgives him. He asked her not to move out, and she wants to stay, of course, because she has nowhere else to stay. Again, she's looking as if she has no self-worth, no dignity, no anything. She's just laying it all on the line. And I'm in my heart, I'm really hoping that she is doing all this for the TLC check or whatever opportunity she has coming from this show in order to be able to take care of her kids. I still hold out hope that she's a good person somewhere in there. But he says he sees a future with her, so we'll see. Then we see her talk to her attorney, Adam, who tells her that the case was closed. She no longer has any ties to Colt and his mother. She needs to just chill out and let's not make any more cases, and she should be okay, because like she said, she wants to stay here in order to get a green card. And she asked him, like, when they started reviewing my case for the green card, is this going to come up? And I believe he said the green card is on the federal level. If they want to dig up state level information about arrests and stuff, they would, but I guess usually that doesn't happen. So we'll see. Colt and Jess. We start out with Colt saying, Jess was at the door banging with a man from the security from the hotel at about 2 in the morning, right? So he didn't want to cause too big of a deal, so he went and got his own room. So he went to speak to her in the morning because he and Deborah have to leave in the morning. They're headed back to the United States, okay? So she says that he lies. That's the biggest thing. Like, you should have just told me that she was staying there with the cat. You're telling me you had no involvement with her and that she knew that we're together, and you lied. So that's her biggest thing. And she said that the only reason she said she was going to go sleep with her ex was to make him jealous. I mean, I figured that, but I just felt it was just so weird to say. Like, I don't know. That was just a weird statement, like a weird to do on national TV, but I guess that's what people do. Let's see. he tells her that she ran away like Larissa, and basically he doesn't want to repeat a Larissa type of situation. And I think that is so weird that they bring up, you're in a new relationship and you keep bringing up your ex's name. You keep bringing up your ex. Like, if I were her, I would kind of be like, what is this? Like, why is it a constant comparison? I don't want to hear your ex-girlfriend's name, if I'm in the relationship with you. So I didn't understand why he keeps bringing her up, but I guess it's for the show and they have to tie each other into each other somehow, right? They have to mention each other. But she tells him, listen, he tells her, she has stormed out on the mom. He tells her, I did not tell her what happened between us last night. She doesn't know, because I guess he doesn't want to make Jess look worse than the mother already thinks that she is anyway. And so she says, listen, no more baby boy. Come on, you have to grow up. This whole thing about you going and telling your mother this and all that, like, this is ridiculous. Like, you're not a baby. Let's grow up. And he says, okay. So then she's going to ride with them to the airport to say goodbye. So in the hotel lobby, Debbie is like, you're back? Oh, man, because in her head, she thought they broke up, right? So they get in the van, and then everybody's fine because Colt and her made up, and he says he loves her and the whole thing. And then Debbie, completely out of line, comes out of the back seat talking about, what did she say? She said, let's talk about last night. Basically, like, the way that you behaved was inappropriate. You walked out on Cole. You really hurt him, this and that. So it was so weird because they had already made up. It had nothing to do with the mother, but the mother's bringing it up as if she had to apologize to her for her behavior. She was completely out of line. And, Colt, I'm sure, is thinking, okay, I'm over this. Why are we hashing up old stuff? Because we're fine and we only have 10 more minutes to be in this normal space before we both head back to America. So Debbie is like, she was out of line. She called me a B, and I believe that Jess was talking about Vanessa when she used the B word, not toward Debbie. But basically, Debbie doesn't want this to happen. She's trying any kind of last-ditch effort she can to draw up something so that they will break up. I think that she is being ridiculous at this point because Colt is old enough to make his own decisions. They say he's 35 years old. He does need to cut ties with his mother in a way where he is just moved into a different place, not bringing her on vacation to see a girlfriend and her family, especially on the first vacation, and making his own decisions, because Debbie will get into his head. And even the last episode, she's like, come on, pull out the bed and sleep in this room with me. Like, what? Like, you need to chill out, okay? So, they're saying goodbye in the airport, and she's saying, don't propose, don't propose, don't propose, because she just wants this thing to end. But she was telling her in the van, he can have friends, he should be allowed to do this and that. This has nothing to do with her. And Colt needs to check his mother at some point. He definitely needed to check Jess in the beginning because she is very disrespectful, and I don't like her. She's very disrespectful to her elders, to his mother, to women, to everything. But his mother also needs to be checked, and she needs to learn how to sit back and mind her business. And he needs to do that by, creating some space between them. Okay. Sinjin and Tanya. So we start out with Sinjin going to the bar with his friends, his former roommates. And I think that his roommates are hilarious. They start out saying, you got fat. And, they talk to the producers. They're like, he's fat as fuck. Like, what happened in America? He is fat, And mind you, the friends, I believe, are already drunk. And then, of course, they just throwing them back. And then they start questioning him about Tanya. And so, it's a whole lot of screaming and, and bro, and all this kind of stuff. And I think it's hilarious because I like to see people having fun and being drunk, right? So, the friend, and they start talking. They're trying to, when they're drunk and they're trying to keep a serious face. So he's like, so you met her at a bar, you brought her home, and she moved in with us for 2 months. And then Sinjin apologizes, he said, and then one of the roommates says, it was like having a girlfriend without the rewards, and he was like, he did apologize for bringing a woman into their space. Basically, the environment wasn't really, a woman's environment. They were 3 bachelors, but from what it sounds like, it was hell. Tanya was telling them what to do. Tanya was, just being nitpicky and ridiculous. And it's like, this isn't even your space. You shouldn't even be here. And I think it's interesting when guys do that because, I guess sometimes it's just like they kind of do whatever the girl wants because, like he said, it was a lust type of thing. We were in lust. We were having great sex, the whole thing, and kind of forget about how their roommates feel. So it was a very real moment. They're like, we couldn't stand living with her. Like, she was horrible. And then they're asking, well, how did you come from that to then moving to America and being married? And how is marriage, right? So first he says like F the green card is not worth it. Because we know Sinjin is not happy, right? But he says he's happy there. But he says he could be happier, but he's having a good time right now with his friends, right? So they're questioning and they're saying, like, how is the marriage and all this kind of, how did you get there? And he said, we had to do it in 90 days. So that's the only reason that we did it that quickly. But he's still questioning, is he ready for that commitment? And should he have waited? And they're like, but you're already married. So this is already what we know. Sinjin is going back and forth between, am I going to be able to settle down somewhere? Did I jump into this too fast? Can I stay committed to her, type of thing? But he's already married. So these are questions he should have asked himself before he jumped into that, or before he even went over to America. But he did say that they argue a lot, and that he could be happier. So, we knew that. So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It seems like next week there's going to be a bit of a blow up. But just as an aside, Tanya looks beautiful this season. I mean, her skin is glowing, her hair is popping. She's doing her thing. So props to you, Tanya. Okay. And lastly, we have, oh goodness Lord. Oh no. Let's do Angela. No, we don't, not lastly. We have a lot of people here. We have Asuelu and Carini. So this was one of the favorites also, because he has a lot going on. I feel so bad for Asuelu, right? So he goes over to his sister's house by himself, and the first thing he says, "Are you still mad about last night? Hello, y'all walked out on me and didn't eat my food. Of course I'm upset," but he didn't say anything because he's quiet. He gave them the gifts that he bought. There are a whole bunch of kids around. Both sisters are there. One of the sisters' husbands is there, and the husband has said nothing, right? But they live in a pretty nice house from what it seems, whatever. So he says to them, I don't want Kalani's family to think that we just love each other because of money, because I'm paying you. And it was Kalani's family. Everything's about Kalani's family. And she's missing the point of what he's saying, right? And so she says, well, I work and I send money no matter what. And he points out, well, you look at how long you've been here. I'm just getting here. I'm just getting started. And I don't have a full-time job. So how are you comparing yourself to me? I literally just got here. And so let's see. They said the issue that they have is that they thought they didn't want him to marry her because she was older. And they did throw out that she is controlling him. He doesn't have a mind of his own. He said that's not what's happening here. She said they didn't want him to marry an American. But they figured that if he did, that they would help send money back to Samoa, right? So that was already red flag number one. So they're already thinking, because you're over there, you're going to make all this money and send it back to Samoa. And I'm still confused because you are the sister that's taking care of, I'm guessing she's taking care of the sister who is non-hearing and the mother, and I don't know whose 4 or 5 kids those were running around. But you know how expensive that is, but you are for some reason still pressuring him when he has 2 very young kids and doesn't even have a full-time job. But okay. So she also says, she starts saying you came to America because Kalani was pregnant. And that's when Asuelu has to excuse himself, because he figures, I'm not getting anywhere with her. She hates Kalani regardless. She's going to keep saying things that make me upset. So I'm just going to go home, be with my wife. And the mother is kind of pleading with him to stay. Please don't leave, Asuelu. Please don't leave. And he just gives her a hug, out of respect, and he leaves, right? So he says, he acknowledges, like, my sister hates Kalani and I'm just not going to be able to fix it. So I think he's just throwing his hands up on that, right? And he says, I would love to have my wife, my family, but apparently I'm not going to be able to have both. So I think the issue is more with Tammy, and the mother seems, Tammy just seems very hardened. The mother seems as if she does love Asuelu, but she doesn't know how to show it. And I noticed that, like, if you guys used to watch it, I used to watch the Kardashians, and with Lamar Odom, his dad, former drug addict, he would say, like, dang, like, I like being around my father, but every time he comes over or I'm around him, it's always like his father's a hustler. It's always, what can you give me? Can you give me anything? Can you give me a little bit of money? And Lamar's like, I already pay his rent. I give him enough for food and groceries, whatever. He gets like a little stipend every month. But like, you still asking for more. And he said, and then they kind of just throw their hands up like, well, this is my father and he loves me, but this is how he shows it, which is really sad to have to kind of settle for that. And it's toxic, like I won't be, just that anything that you can offer me is based on money, and that sucks when you just want a pure relationship with your parent. Okay, so he talks to mom alone, I guess, the next day. And mom still seems to feel like, oh, are you still, I feel like they keep asking him, are you still mad? Like nothing is ever resolved. So yes, I'm not even mad. Like I'm hurt, I'm upset, I'm all these other things. And like, and we keep walking out on the conversation. So yes, I still feel that way. But you know, he breaks down saying, if I send you guys all my money, I'm gonna be homeless, my kids won't eat. Kalani is there. He breaks down crying, and the mother is still like, so are you gonna give us the money? So now I'm confused. Like, are we missing something? Because he's crying. Like there was no, you know, as soon as she said, I don't want to see him cry, but there's no nurturing, there's no anything. At the same time, we don't really see her interact with his kids much. I think this is the first time she met them. I mean, where's the grandmotherly nurturing love? Where's the nurturing love for your son? And he's breaking down, and you're still like, can we, you know, can you still pay us? And you see Kalani's face in all this, and Kalani's faces are everything because she is over his family and has been before they got there, right? So you know, they show us next week that the sister's gonna try to jump at Kalani, and Kalani's gonna basically tell her, like, listen, if your sister tried to touch me, I will handle her, and I believe her because her father probably taught her all of these great defense tactics. So we're gonna see how that goes. All right, Paul and Carini. So we start off with them with Carini locked in the bathroom. We have no idea why, and Paul is knocking. And he says, you know, she's having a lot of mood swings lately. I don't know what happened, but she's upset at me. He tells her mom is coming over, and you know, she doesn't care. So she opens the door. The mom has just drove up and come out the car. She walks up to the mother and says, listen, it's not you, but I'm upset, you know, let me go. So she walks away, and Paul's telling the mom, this has been happening lately. I don't know what's going on. But you see Carini on the phone. So did somebody on the phone make her upset, or is she calling somebody about something that happened? We don't know. She won't communicate. Paul does say, this is embarrassing to have my mother come over to see the baby, and this is how you're acting, and I literally don't know what is going on. So the mom goes over to try to talk to Carini, nothing. Paul goes over to talk to Carini, nothing. She keeps saying, stop, stop, stop. Mom says she understands that Carini might be homesick because she's dealing with a lot. Paul isn't working. They're living in a trailer. This wasn't the life she envisioned for herself. Basically, she could be at home. She misses her mom and her dad and everybody that was helping her. Let's see. Mom goes in the house and she says, why do you have so many flies in the house? And he's like, I know, it's ridiculous. They literally live in a room. Why are there so many flies? That just disgusts me for some reason. Like, you need to handle that fly situation because there's a baby there. And that's just, I couldn't deal with all that buzzing and all that kind of stuff. But that's beside the point. So the mom acknowledges, of course, the producers. He probably aggravated her, and he did something because I know that, you know, I know how my son is, and I know he's not easy, but, you know, I hope that he gets it together. And Paul told his mother, like, listen, she doesn't do anything. She wants me to work full time, but I have to take care of the baby, pampering, washing, everything. I also have to take care of the house, even though it's a room. I feel like the room could be cleaned up within an hour, but okay. Or they could just not keep it. They could keep it clean, but whatever. We saw how they were living in Brazil. But, you know, she's not doing anything. And to me, that's just telling me that she's depressed. The same way that Asuelu is or was depressed, the same way that Sinjin is or was depressed. Those are all signs of depression. When you are, the only thing she has in this life is her baby, and she's not caring for him. She's very unhappy, and it could be the homesickness. It could be, to me, honestly, I never thought she was into Paul. If you all remember whatever season it was when Paul and her got into it, because she was still talking to other men from America, and she was saying, they're my friends, but the issue is that she would have them sending her money. So who was she on the phone with? I'm thinking Carini's boyfriend or whoever she was going to escape from Paul with broke up with her, or didn't do something, because she has another plan to get out of there. Paul is nuts, and she's not going to stay with him. So she already knew, this is going to get me over to America, but I'm going to end up with this one who has some money and has his stuff together. That's my thought. Now, there was some drama. Now I think they have a restraining order, the whole thing. I'm going to do that in a separate video because I have to actually review all that drama. But there's something going on where she left Paul and she was with another man and she's pregnant again and the whole thing. But you're going to have to tune into the other video to find out. The mother, I like the mother. She is, to me, she is very caring. She tried a couple times to speak to Carini. She didn't want to. She went, hugged up the baby, or gave him, he was sleeping, gave him some kisses, and she was like, "Listen, Paul, I'm gonna pray for you, but you really need to get it together. You got to start working. You got to do this thing. I feel bad for Carini. Get it together. See ya." She doesn't want any parts of that, and I think that she's gotten to the point where it's like, Paul should not have even brought this girl over here like this. Okay, you came off the plane with her. You should have come 2 or 3 months in advance so that you had a place set up. You had a job and all these things so that you could have started with something. At the same time, Carini knew he had nothing also, so I don't know what she was expecting. Maybe she was expecting the mother to help them out the way her family helps her out, but at the same time, I would have needed to know that plan before I hopped on the plane. Okay, that's them. Lastly, because I'm not going to hold you, Angela and Mike. And she's really starting to get under, she's getting under my skin. At one point, we used to see baby girl Lisa, and I really couldn't stand her. And so she kind of made Angela look better. So it was kind of like, but now Angela's going, she's kind of, they're leveling out for me because she is a piece of work. So they start out going to the marriage counselor, which is a legal process in Nigeria, where they basically, I guess they would decide, okay, you guys are fit to get married. So, or if you're compatible, or if you're wasting your time, which they are. So he asked her, like, listen, don't get upset or mad when we go to these people, because that could really ruin our chances of getting married. And the fact that he even has to say that to her is ridiculous, because he knows that she has a short flame, and that she doesn't know how to conduct herself. She's very crass and disrespectful, and that nobody there is going to tolerate that. So he says, don't talk about sex, just kind of keep it, act like you have some sense and some decorum about yourself, right? So she takes no accountability. Like, she doesn't take any type of responsibility for anything. So she says, well, you don't make me mad. Basically, my behavior is contingent upon if you make me mad, which is ridiculous. You are a grown woman and you need to be able to control yourself. So let me see. Give me 1 second. Okay. So the marriage counselors are basically telling her, there are 3 different types of marriages you can get here. You can get one, I believe, where the husband can have several wives. You can get one, I forgot the second one. Either way, the third one is the one she's going to choose, where you guys are in a monogamous relationship and that's it. And they basically tell her, have sex with him, cook, clean, make sure he's happy, and then he won't stray. Go into total submission. The man is on top. And, she basically says that, she won't do that. That's not her thing. But she tells the cameras that she knows she's bossy. She knows she's controlling. And it's because of a past relationship. She was married between the ages of 17 and 20. And I guess, from that relationship, she didn't have a voice. And so now she became the person who is bossy and controlling, because she wants to let him know up front, these are the things I'm not going to do, and this is what I am. And that's cool, but you're extreme and you're disrespectful. Okay, so they leave. She conducted herself fine with the counselors and what have you. She said, yes, I'll be submissive. And which when they left, she said the counseling was bullshit and it will not be that way. Okay, so then they go to meet with the aunt, and she says, I believe the aunt, asked about the relationship. I forgot how it went exactly, but Michael at one point said to the aunt, something about being 50-50, and then I'm gonna I'll be the head of the household, this whole thing. And she says, basically, when he gets in front of you, don't act like this in front of your people. Because when you're with me, basically, I'm going to be in charge when we get to America. I told you how it's going to be. Don't get in front of them telling them that you're going to control me. And not only are you lying, I'm looking at you sideways, because which one is the truth? Are you trying to have me submit to you when we get there? Or are we going to do 50-50 the way we said, and 50-50 to her is I'm in charge? So she says, she's not going to change who she is, the whole thing. He says, listen, I'm a Nigerian man. This is my culture. And I'm not gonna, you can't change my culture. Like we are gonna go, our day to day is gonna involve my culture. You know, I'm not gonna lose who I am. And she says, you guys have to respect my culture, and she is not submitting, and that is not her, and the whole thing. And she will not bow down to anybody, not him, her, anybody. And so she goes, and you see her talking to the producers with the cigarettes stuffed in her bra, the cigarettes and whatever, like 6, 7 items stuffed in her bra. And she's smoking away, and she is saying she will not bow down. So the aunt is sitting there, like, basically telling him, this is what you're going to be dealing with. She's telling you what we were afraid of, that she was going to make you a slave when you go to America. This is what you're going to be dealing with, and she's telling you now. So she acts like this in your home country. How's she going to act when she gets on her home turf? Like Andrei is going to be times 200. So you need to really think about this, because this is not something at first she said, you know, we like Angela, but she was like, that attitude is not, that's not going to work for you. So you need to really think about this. She said you need to stand on your 2 feet, because this is ridiculous. Now, mind you, before Angela left the table disrespectfully, she told Michael, yelling at him, don't raise your voice at me in front of your aunt. Don't do that, at the same time yelling at him, right? And his aunt noticed that, and she says she wants to control you. She wants to boss you around. She's treating you like a child, and she's doing it right in front of me. So this is not going to change. This is going to get worse when she gets home. And she basically says that she will not change. So Angela's not happy. She says that the marriage is off and she's over it. So we will see what happens with them. But as I have been saying, she has been leading up to this, telling him, when you get there, you're going to be my slave. I need you to watch the grandkids, cook, clean, everything else. Because remember, when he gets to America, he's not going to be able to work. So she's going to control all of his money. He's not going to have a place to stay. So he's going to be stuck in the house like Luis was, with the grandkids, expected to tend to them because their own parents, I don't know where they are, but the kids are always with Angela. So it's going to be not only a culture shock, but a shock to everything that he is, and he has no idea about it. His whole thing is, I want to get to America, and then I think he figures he'll deal with it when he gets here, because his plan is not to stay with her. I already know that. So I think his thing is he'll stick around, whatever it is, but I think he has a plan to navigate his way to, like he said, he wants to be a business owner. So I think that that's what he wants to do. But until then, you know, she's going to be cutting him off at the balls the entire way. So that's a decision he's going to have to make. But now the family, they probably won't even approve this marriage, because the way that she spoke to him in front of the aunt. So we'll see how that goes. I think Angela is, like I have said before, I think she's ridiculous. I do not like the attitude that she has come to Nigeria with. The superiority thing, I don't like that she's treating him, she's emotionally abusive to him, treating him like a child, and being very controlling. And I'm hoping that he wakes up. I don't know if they're married in real life or what it is, but I hope it doesn't happen for his sake, because he'll be somewhere in Hazelhurst, Georgia, living a completely different life than what he's living now, and he has no idea how that's going to go. Okay, so please leave me some comments, right, in the comment section. I want you to please subscribe to the channel, and I will hope to see you. We'll talk about this again next week. Thank you for joining me in Reality with T.